Well, good morning. It is indeed an honor to be here today alongside City Directors Peck, Adcock, and we do believe City Director Warrick will be on her way, with Chief Doan in Durham and the entire Little Rock Fire Department and Acting City Manager Delphon Hubbard. We're standing here today at the Central Fire Station to share our appreciation to the men and women of Little Rock Fire Department. I think we all know how much the fire department and first responders mean to the city of Little Rock because they make up over 2/3 of our $331 million budget. We're grateful during the budgeting process we were able to sign what we see to be across the board raises 5% each in the Little Rock Fire Department, something we haven't seen in quite some time in this 2-year agreement, and making our fire department one of the highest paid in the state. We know through the budgetary decisions that we often are always purchasing multi-million-dollar, $2 and $3 million vehicles and trucks for our fire department. But while we are prioritizing our fire department, we also understand during the budgeting process, there's always a need for tender loving care, TLC, in many of our fire stations because we have some deferred maintenance. And while we may prioritize the salaries of our firefighters and while we may prioritize the equipment and the resources, we also know there's an area for improvement as it relates to some of the TLC in some of those particular buildings. And so out of those discussions, many residents came to many different city directors as well as City Director Kathy Peck and said, oh, I didn't know about X, Y, and Z, and we want to be helpful. Well, today we are announcing the Love Your Firefighters campaign. And if you go to littlerock.gov/LYF, you can pay a tax-deductible fund, checks to a tax-deductible fund to ensure that we can add more tender loving care to many of our firefighter facilities. And so we're excited about that. We want our residents, many times when there's a question on how can we be more helpful, this is an opportunity to do that as well as do it tax-free. And so we're excited about that today. We want to continue to demonstrate how we honor our firefighters, what they do day in and day out, because they are putting their lives on the line. And so to talk about the purpose and the vision, I'm going to bring to one of the firefighters' most beloved city directors. And I'm going to say the same thing about City Director Adcock and City Director Warrick, but we know one of the most beloved firefighter city directors is City Director Kathy Peck, and let her talk about the purpose and the vision of the Love Your Firefighters campaign. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you, Mayor. I am so proud and excited to be here today. You know, we all know firefighters don't just fight fires. They are the first responders in every kind of emergency, whether it's a car accident, a medical crisis, a natural disaster, a water rescue. They work long hours, often in very extreme conditions. Now, I don't want to say I don't have the utmost respect for all of our first responders, but I especially appreciate our firefighters because they have to live in their station when they're on duty. And that's what I want to address today. A friend of mine who's a firefighter brought to my attention several months ago that some of our older fire stations were in desperate need of some assistance. I toured several of them along with Director Adcock, and frankly, I was appalled. Some of these would probably not pass a code inspection. And so it became my mission to make a difference in their home away from home. The firefighters that serve us daily deserve a safe and comfortable place to rest and train and recharge their batteries as they wait to answer the next call. So now we are asking you to help answer this call and contribute to our fund that will go for things like ceiling fans, chairs, exercise equipment. This is tough work. They got to stay strong. Picnic tables, basketball goals, bed frames, washers and dryers. All of this will support them and their quality of life while living in those stations while they protect and serve us. You know, many local fire departments struggle with funding, with limited funding and outdated equipment, and Little Rock's like all of those. But in spite of these conditions, the firefighters are so resilient. They often work in the homes that they live in while on duty to make repairs, sometimes with their own money. And the reason if you're wondering why is there so much wear and tear, it's not that they're rough on their equipment. You can see these lovely lounge chairs over there that look like they've been through hell. But 9 to 12 people live in a single company station. 30 to 39 people live here. Can you imagine the wear and tear on your things at home if you had that many people? And they just deserve better. It's not just an act of kindness. This is a commitment to our community, to safety and strength. Firefighters do so much more than just fight fires. They're pillars of our community. They're an integral part of Little Rock. They teach children the importance of fire safety. Every year they organize Operation Warm, an annual winter coat drive where they purchase hundreds of coats and distribute these to needy kids in our school district. They sponsor an annual golf tournament and give tens of thousands of dollars to the Arkansas Children's Hospital Burn Unit. And they go on and give and give. And so now, again, it's our turn to answer the call. The one interesting thing that just happened yesterday, one of the firefighters called me and said that they would like to help retire the school lunch debt, another board initiative, and they're going to contribute $500. That's what I mean. They keep giving and giving and giving. So I would encourage, along with the firefighters supporting this, retiring the school debt. So it's been a pretty challenging spring so far. We had the flooding, we had the high winds, we had the fires on March 19th, and one of my friends who's been a firefighter for almost 15 years said that was the toughest day of his career. And that's why this initiative is so important. They deserve to live in a safe and comfortable place so they can relax and sleep and wait until the next call. And I don't want you to think this is just our initiative, the City Board. I'm very appreciative of our colleagues who supported this and of Mayor Scott, but the city's also stepping up. We have earmarked $2.5 million to address the really expensive and serious needs, especially in our aging fire stations, like HVAC systems, vinyl asbestos tile remediation, mold remediation, and flooding in the basement right here. So it's super easy to contribute. You're going to go to littlerock.gov. You'll see the government tab. Click on Board of Directors. If you scroll to the bottom, you'll see Board Initiatives. And this is where you can donate to both of the funds. Thank you so much. Let's love our firefighters. Let's answer the call. We're counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Peck. We do appreciate you and your advocacy and leadership. We'll now have City Director Joan Adcock.
I think DJ's next.
I think she's last.
Okay.
I got it.
As you can tell, I have to pull it down when I speak after the mayor. You know, we're here today because there's people serving us when we're not even thinking about that they're there. And that's our firefighters. They're there night and day. We started this because there's just not enough money in the budget for everything. And I want to show you what the fire chief gave us. Okay, leave the notebook. We asked the fire chief to let us know what the needs was at the fire station, and this is the book that he gave us. He didn't waste time with a sheet of paper, but he gave us a whole book. And this has got every fire station in it and what the needs are in those stations. I have spent many hours organizing it, and I can tell you that 17 fire stations needs this or they need that. One thing that they needed so bad was chairs. Chairs at the dinette table. We all take that for granted that when we go home we're going to sit at the table and eat. But their chairs was falling apart. They was eating in shifts sometimes. They had rollers. They had taken the gray tape where you tape stuff together, and their chairs was taped together. In checking it, we needed 120 dinette chairs with rollers on them. they prefer the rollers. They can use them at their desk and everything. Well, we had a meeting out at one of the high schools, the State of the City address. And after it was over with, this older gentleman came up to me and he said, "Can I walk you to your car?" And I said, "Sure." And as we was walking, we talked about what are you doing? And I told him about this project, about loving your firefighters, of all the needs. And he says, "That sounds like a good initiative." Well, I did ask Dean Campiris later that evening, who was this man? And he told me, and he's asked that his name not be used. And so as I was at home that evening, the telephone rang and he said, "I've got a question. Can I go to that fire station in the morning before church and go buy the chairs that they need, and after church take them to them?" And I said, "I think that would be great." He heard the call. He saw. We all can't go and see, but he did. He has now given us 120 of those chairs to go to all of the different fire stations. He heard the call, and that's what we're asking all of you to do, is to call us. We can give you a list. We are hoping that we hear from companies that want to come alongside us and partner. We want to hear from groups, churches that wants to help. But we also want to hear from the parents who has that little boy that wants to go to a fire station and see a fire truck. And mom knows that you can take this or you can take that to the firemen, firefighters, because that's what they need. So we want everyone in this city to become part of loving their firefighters and answering this call. We will be going to the different stations. We will be able to tell you what the needs are. We have that list right now. We're just waiting for the telephone calls so that we can help. And I hope that you get the opportunity to take your gift, because I have never seen people so appreciative of just the very small things that we do. In visiting the fire stations last week, we would be sitting there talking, and all of a sudden everything went quiet and you heard a loudspeaker, and it was a call to come. The firefighters get up so quietly. They don't say, "I don't feel good." They don't say, "Well, let's wait till after lunch." They don't say, "I'm not ready." They don't continue the conversation. They're gone. And within seconds, it seemed like you could hear the sirens as they left the building. That's how they answer their calls. So I want to know, how are you going to help us answer the calls today of these firefighters? Someday you may be sitting in a car at home in a bed or out in the woods, and you may need that special person to come and to help you. And there they are. There are your firefighters answering the call. And I'm asking you today to answer the call for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Adcock. We're now going to hear from Interim Chief Michael Doan.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Directors Adcock, Wyrick, Peck. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Doan, Chief of Operations and currently Acting Fire Chief. It is an honor to stand here today in front of you. I'm both excited and grateful to see such a strong outpouring from our residents. Your support means everything to the men and women of this fire department. I'd also like to take a moment to thank Mayor Scott, as well as the City Board of Directors, for consistently supporting creative and thoughtful ways to meet the needs of the fire department. We're truly appreciative of all of you. As many of you know, the needs that have been expressed are times 22 fire stations across the city of Little Rock that operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For our firefighters, they're not just workspaces. They're second homes for our crews, as the directors have said. And while our budget's supported by your tax dollars, helps keep us running, the Love Our Firefighters initiative gives residents a chance to go one step further, whether it's donating goods or time. On behalf of the entire fire department, I want to thank the people of Little Rock for continuing to go above and beyond. Your kindness and generosity and pride in your fire department does not go unnoticed. Thank you for showing our firefighters the love that they've more than earned.
And before we do Q&A, we're going to have some summary remarks from City Director B.J. Wyrick.
Thank you, Mayor. As I was a little bit late. I was fighting with my printer to get my notes printed out. I finally had to write them. But I parked across the street, and there's a little boy over there playing in a mud puddle. And his grandfather had a firefighter's hat, and I was trying to cross the street, and he says, "Fire station, fire station." He was so excited about the fire station. I said, "Are you going over there?" And he said, "I've already been." So that's the kind of rapport firefighters have in the city of Little Rock with little ones, big ones. Everybody supports the fire department. I want to thank Cappy and Joan for taking the lead to support our firefighters in this effort. Firefighters are engaged in our personal lives with support when we have fire, when we have accidents, when we have floods, when we have fallen, and we have personal injuries when we're playing. They're there. They choose to do this because they love to serve our folks. A lot of the firefighters have family members that are firefighters. I know Johnny Reap, my friend, is back there. He has a son, Casey, that's a firefighter. The Smeckenbeckers. I'm going to call out the Smeckenbeckers because I love their name. Can you say Smeckenbecker 3 times? The interesting thing about the Smeckenbeckers is there's several family members, and on the back of their uniforms, their name is so long, the S is way over on their arm, and the R is on the other arm. Smeckenbecker. But I'm calling them out. And then the Davises. Al Davis was a assistant fire chief for a while. One of his sons dated my daughter for a while. Don't tell the spouses because it could create a rift. But I could have had a firefighter in my family personally. The city board recognizes it's time for the board, the city, and the community to be involved on a more personal note. As you know, they have been involved in our personal lives for a long time. We want to talk about their quality of life, their safety, and they spend 4 days out of a 7-day week in a fire station. So they need to have a good place to sleep and to do training and to be ready for the next call. They're always away from home, and it's time that we make their fire station life as safe as possible. Through the years, the city has provided many tools, turnouts, breathing apparatus, fire trucks. Now we need to support their home away from home. I have a personal story to tell you. My mother lived catty-cornered from my house for a long time, and then she went into hospice. And we had to move a hospital bed into her house for her to sleep in to make it comfortable for her. One of the first couple of nights that we had the hospital bed there, she got twisted in the bed, somehow got locked into the arms of the hospital bed and couldn't get out. And so the caregiver that was there, this is like 2 a.m. in the morning. As we know, firefighters are working at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Firefighters came to their house, to her house, helped her out, got her out of the bed, and they were so sweet and so nice to her. She talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. I was asleep in my bed at home, had no idea this was going on, catty-cornered from my house. But for the next couple of days, she had a lifeline button that you could mash to call 911. And because she had such a great experience with the firefighters, that one night she kept hitting 911, hoping they'd come back to see her. We eventually had to take the button away. We had a caregiver right there to help her, but we had to take that away because she loved the firefighters too much. In summary, let's provide grace for our firefighters in this initiative, and we would absolutely love you all to be a participant in the help. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Wyrick. Again, as we come to a close, we just want to continue to share and demonstrate our appreciation to the men and women of Little Rock Fire Department. Any questions?
To intercom, first download.
People made this initiative to be made with specific stations in mind, like individual who donates, like, reserve that for a specific station, or how is the city going to make decisions on how to provide that funding?
Well, those decisions will come from the fire leadership based on the amount of dollars that we receive, and we have a whole list of each station that needs some different things. So there'll be definitely a combination of the firefighters and the fire administration.
4896 schedule, where do things stand with that?
The men and women of Little Rock Fire Department voted, I believe, somewhere around 71% for the 4896. As I've always said, we wanted to make certain that there was a super majority. There was a super majority. I believe it starts June 13th. And based off of what we signed, once it hit 70%, it will start June 13th, and I believe it goes from June to the end of the year. And then after that, there'll be another vote, and that vote will determine if they want to continue to go forward. Yes, ma'am.
Would the tax that fell in November have gone to things?
Yes. All right. Thank you so much.